Good morning, everyone. This is normally the time at the Business Council meetings that we use for networking, although that's a bit harder for this format today. So go ahead and grab your coffee and get settled in. We'll be starting the program in 2 minutes. Okay, I think we're going to get started. Take it away, John.
Thanks, Debbie. Welcome, everybody. My name is John Connolly. I'm president of the Twin Cities North Chamber of Commerce. Welcome. We partner with the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce and the City of Roseville to produce the Roseville Business Council Monthly. And thank you all for your support and your willingness to join us in this webinar format, a unique setting. One quick housekeeping item I want to share is that questions can be submitted during the webinar by clicking the question button at the bottom of your screen. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Good morning, everybody. My name is Shannon Watson. I'm the Director of Public Affairs for the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce. Like John mentioned, SPAC partners for the Roseville Business Council. We also partner with the cities of Maplewood and Little Canada to offer the Maplewood Area Business Council. This is the first time these two groups have met jointly, so we were already doing something historic. Little did we know how different this meeting really would be. I did get a text to remind people that we can interact on Twitter. We can't really interact a whole lot in person, but we can interact on Twitter. Our hashtags for the day are Maplewood Area Business Council, all spelled out, and Roseville Business Council, all spelled out. So feel free to connect with people, give a shout out if you're with us this morning on Twitter. I'd like to pass the mic to Mark Hodawanek from Highway Federal Credit Union to introduce our topic for the day.
Highway Federal Credit Union. Thank you, Shannon. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark Hodawanek, and Highway Federal Credit Union is the sole sponsor of the Maplewood Area Business Council. We share that honor with Visit Roseville and sponsoring the Roseville Business Council. Our panelists today are Roseville Mayor Dan Rowe, Maplewood Mayor Mary Lee Abrams, St. Paul Senior Project Manager Angela Reif, and Ramsey County Commissioner Trista Mattis Castillo. Our moderator today is Kim O'Brien, who serves as the Executive Director of the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance. Normally, I'd ask you to please give them a warm welcome round of applause, and although they can't hear it, let's do it anyway. Take it away, Kim.
Thank you so much, Mark. As Mark mentioned, my name is Kim O'Brien. I am the Executive Director of the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance. I'm just going to show a few slides here to kind of level set on the history of the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance. As John mentioned earlier, would love to hear your questions about this work. So please, at the bottom of your screen, there is a Q&A button. Feel free to type in those questions, and then at the end of the prepared questions, we'll go to some audience questions as well. So, so once again, thank you. So hopefully most of you on this call have an idea of where the Rice Street and Larpenteur Avenue intersection is. It is on the border of the city of St. Paul. Larpenteur Avenue is the northern border. To the northwest is the city of Roseville, and to the northeast is the city of Maplewood. So all three of these cities convene right at this intersection. In addition, Ramsey County is the owner of both the Larpenteur Avenue and the Rice Street corridors. And 3 county commissioner districts overlap in the area that we serve. So there is a lot of wonderful attention to the neighborhood, but potentially it is part of the reason that there has been maybe a lack of focus and a sense of singularity or place in this area, if you're familiar with it. So in 2015, the city leaders got together. So Maplewood, Roseville, St. Paul, they met for lunch at a restaurant in the area, and they said, well, you know, we've all kind of had our backs on this intersection looking in at our communities. What would happen if we turned and looked in at each other and looked in at Rice and Larpenteur? What could we do for this community? So they reached out to the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce, and the chamber brought in Smart Growth America to take a look at the Larpenteur Avenue corridor as a border area. They conducted a community process and determined that Rice and Larpenteur is really the heart and the focus and worth focusing on for improvements. The city leaders then said, well, let's do it, and jointly funded a vision planning process, and that was led by a design firm, Perkins & Will. So over the course of the year, from 2017 to 2018, Perkins & Will and the city leaders, as well as the county, got together and tried to figure out what are the best practices, what could this neighborhood look like dreaming big, what are the small incremental steps, what are the big things that could happen to really change the landscape for the community that lives there. In 2018, that vision plan was adopted. I encourage everybody to take a look at the website, www.riceandlarpenteur.com, where you could download the vision plan in its full glory, adopted by all 3 cities, and also take a look at what we have been up to since. In 2019, those 3 cities said, well, what good is a plan if it sits on a shelf, right? In 3 cities, we still have the problem that there's not one singular leader for this effort. We all want to do something, but how do we make it happen? So in 2019, the cities jointly fund the St. Paul Area Chamber to commence on the implementation phase of that work, which brings us to today. So the vision for the area is the Rice and Larpenteur Gateway will be a safe, engaging, and inviting neighborhood center that includes common spaces, a high-quality pedestrian environment, and robust reinvestment for the diverse people of the surrounding communities to live, conduct business, and play together. The goals were to provide safe connections for walking and biking, to create a walkable and bikeable center that feels safe and inviting for the commercial spaces and the shoppers, to develop a village by the lake using Lake McCarran's and the other blue and green infrastructure to create a sense of identity and increase sustainability. That Lake McCarran's Regional Park is such a beautiful asset for the community. How do we make it feel like it belongs to everyone? Also to foster the creation of new housing of various types and densities. The population of the neighborhood has exploded. We know that from census data, but not a single new unit has been added in several decades. So the area is screaming, just like our entire metro is screaming for housing. So the vision plan visions new housing of various types all throughout the corridor. Another goal is to attract pedestrian-oriented land uses, so more neighborhood amenities like restaurants and markets, etc., and to support the existing wonderful businesses that provide valuable service to the community. So in 2019, since the implementation phase began, we have had some exciting successes. Actually 5 events have been held since this begins, engaging over 600 people. We've raised money from the philanthropic community to support this work. The Alliance determined a new neighborhood logo, and as I mentioned earlier, launched a website, riceandlarpenteur.com. We've done a variety of low-cost physical improvements to demonstrate care, like a pavement mural and planters to green it up a little bit. One of the most dynamic changes has been Larpenteur Avenue, which I'm sure Commissioner Mattis Castillo can talk a little bit about, but really calming the traffic and improving pedestrian safety on Larpenteur Avenue. As well, in the city of St. Paul, Wheelock Parkway, it's a parkway, but it had no sidewalk and no trail. That has since changed, and now the parkway is a beautiful amenity connecting Como Lake to Lake McCarran's, and also making safe pedestrian access for the residents of that high-density area. The city and the county banded together to advocate against proposed cuts to service from Metro Transit. We have published a strategic fundraising framework. We have talked about how we move our organization from a government-based organization to a community-based organization, and have started to put that long-term alliance governance framework into action. I'm actually pretty excited because we are about to launch our new community-based alliance with over 40 people who have applied to be a part of it. We've also engaged dozens of local businesses, building relationships, engaging residents, and also investors who may want to come in and make Rice and Larpenteur their home in the future. Next slide is just some great pictures. You'll notice some of our panelists are featured here. We've done neighborhood cleanups. We've done farmers markets, a holiday pop-up event at a local business, and the summer block party. On the next slide, you'll see some additional fun photos of our recent winter warmer event at the Nepali Kitchen and Grocery. And then next steps, looking forward, is and this slide just demonstrates how many different businesses and community members have been engaged in this effort in various ways. So what's next? I mentioned that we are launching our community-based alliance. We are looking at redeveloping sites along the corridor according to the vision plan. These sites are privately owned, but we have the opportunity to encourage investment, to speak to the landowners, to talk about what these sites could become in the future. We're looking to beautify, so capital improvements to the businesses, public art, neighborhood signage. Litter is an issue in the neighborhood, and installing public garbage and recycling bins in partnership with Ramsey County is on the docket for this summer. And continuing to celebrate the community with these events. So we have a lot to do moving forward, but I want to make sure that we move into our panel and hear from the leaders who have made all of this possible. So let's start with our panelists. I'd like for each of the 4 of them, representing St. Paul, Roseville, Maplewood, and Ramsey County, to just introduce themselves briefly and explain kind of how they began with this project and what their relationship is to the project currently. So let's give that a go. Let's start with Roseville Mayor Dan Rowe.
Thank you, Kim. I think I was one of the people that was involved in that 2015 discussion among leaders about this area. And so I've been definitely involved since, you might say, since this effort was a gleam in our eyes. And it's been a pleasure to be a part of it. I think we really recognize that this is something special. And so it's been an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to be part of this process and attending all of the meetings and being involved in the decision making.
Thanks. How about Mayor Abrams from Maplewood? What's your involvement?
Good morning, everyone. This neighborhood is a culturally important neighborhood. Maplewood is located in the northeast corner, and it's a most unique area because, as you can see, we have 3 cities and 1 county. Maplewood got involved with this. You might remember a number of years ago, we had a shooting at what was a rather notorious nightclub there. And we recognized that the neighborhood really had not had a lot of attention. And I think one of the reasons it didn't was because there were 3 cities and 1 county. And instead of that being something that was a detriment, I think that we saw the opportunity of Rice Larpenteur Alliance as being a way to unify in that area and really make it a focus for redevelopment and for making this really an amazing neighborhood.
Thank you. Commissioner Mattis Castillo.
Yeah, I came into this as it was a ready formed group, and much of the legwork had already been done by the others on the panel and the community. And so it's been really exciting to be able to jump in and add kind of the resources from the county and work in partnership. We have 2, as you mentioned, 2 other county commissioners represented in this area, Commissioner Victoria Reinhardt and Commissioner Mary Jo McGuire, who are also very supportive and active and excited about the work that's happening at the edges of our community and bringing our districts together. And so this is really an opportunity to highlight a gateway into our 3 cities and a partnership in a really unique way.
Thank you. And I should mention, the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance is thrilled to be the recipient of Ramsey County's pilot project, Corridors of Opportunity. So the county will be helping fund this effort and some of the connections and business support programs that we hope to do. So thank you for that. Angela, can you tell us a little bit about your involvement?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Angela Reif, and I'm a senior project manager with the City of St. Paul. The City of St. Paul, we're split up geographically, and so I am the project manager at economic development for the North End, and I've been with the city and with this project for about a year. And is for like a new project manager to come in and to already see such great momentum and great organization within a project has been a fun and great opportunity for me. So I'm excited about continuing to work with the group.
Thank you so much. And as everybody can see on the call right now, I mean, this is pretty special. We have 4 different municipal jurisdictions represented right here on the call, all of whom have made this particular neighborhood and this particular corridor a focus of their jurisdiction's efforts. And that's pretty exceptional and amazing. So let me just ask, why has the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance become the focus for your city? And I'm going to throw this to Mayor Rowe to start with.
Well, I think in terms of this area, I think we were hearing from people who lived and had businesses, certainly on the Roseville side, for some time, how this area needed some attention. I think, we see, and it's not just in Roseville, but we have, sort of aging housing stock. We have aging commercial buildings and businesses as well. There's not very much in terms of pedestrian amenities in the area. Roseville added a pathway on the north side of Larpenteur a few years ago, and then St. Paul has been able to add a sidewalk on the south side. And I was pretty amazed actually early on in the process to realize that St. Paul, a city that has sidewalks on virtually every street, didn't even have a sidewalk on Larpenteur Avenue. And so it just kind of shows how the area wasn't getting the attention that it needs. And so, because of that, and certainly because of the voice of residents and business owners in the area, we've really put focus on it and intend to carry through on that.
Thank you. So Angela, from the City of St. Paul's perspective, why do you think this neighborhood for focusing on?
I think this neighborhood is, well, first, it's an entrance to the city. It's one of the very first times that someone is having experience with St. Paul. And furthermore, there's a great mix of dense residential, and also dense businesses here at the intersection. And then, especially on the St. Paul side, there could really benefit for some visual improvement. So I think that there was, it's clear that there was great energy and a great opportunity and time for the city to get involved.
Excellent, thank you. So what are some of the challenges that face this community in particular? I think some of you alluded to them in the introductory remarks, but Commissioner Mattis-Castillo, I guess, what are some challenges that face Rice and Larpenteur neighborhood? And then what are some of the area's strengths as well?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kim. Thank you. Of course, when you have multiple jurisdictions, there are challenges, but we have already overcome them by working together with our great mayors and the city of St. Paul as well. So thinking about jurisdictions and zoning and those kinds of things, each city is operating independently, but in this case, we really are working together and collaborating about what that looks like so that we can design a neighborhood that is cohesive, even though it has multiple jurisdictions. So really an opportunity there. The other things that can be, some people might see it as challenges, we see it as opportunities and strengths, is that it is a very diverse, multicultural neighborhood with multiple languages spoken. It is also diverse in socioeconomics. And so thinking about how do we design a neighborhood that doesn't displace people, but helps everyone work together, to really create a vibrant, beautiful space. And so they can be challenges. If you see them that way, we see them as opportunities, and really think about how do we design this community so everybody has a place that feels like home.
Excellent, thank you. Mayor Abrams, what do you think the challenges that are or were facing this neighborhood, and what are some of the strengths?
I would concur with what Commissioner Mattis-Castillo talked about, is that the challenges really are the strengths of the neighborhood, in that it is a very diverse neighborhood. It has culturally, socioeconomically, if you even take a look at the businesses and the housing stock there. And I think one of the challenges is that this neighborhood has been more or less neglected over the years. And I think that people maybe lost sight of how unique it really is. And now with this focus, we are reinvigorating that and acknowledging this is a really culturally important neighborhood. We have all sorts of different businesses there. We have a variety of housing stock. We have many languages spoken there. And I think that that really is one of the strengths of the neighborhood. It also has a great recreational area in McCarran's on the Roseville side. And on the Maplewood side, we also have the gardens there that are a great community asset. So there are so many wonderful aspects to this unique neighborhood that I really see that as strengths that we can build upon. We've got some great framework there. And now I think with the dedication of the 3 cities and the 1 county, that we can really make some things happen. And one thing that I've really appreciated as the mayor of Maplewood is the fact that I now know all of the commissioners very well. We're friends. I know Mayor Rowe, and we have a great working relationship. But the way that we actually work is unique in and of itself, in that we work by consensus. It's not based on the fact that St. Paul really has the largest section here, Maplewood has the smallest. That really is irrelevant. We work by consensus with a clear mission on what we can do to reinvigorate this neighborhood, because I think that we all want to build on those strengths.
Yeah. Kim, if I could, can I just add one thing? I will say, as I was listening to Mayor Abrams talk about, there is one challenge that we do have, but we can ask everyone who's listening and watching to help us. And that is, when a neighborhood gets a bad reputation, it's really hard to shake. And so there has been because of historic things there in the past, there's been crime, we've got a few other things that isn't actually prevalent right now, but the reputation is still there. And so part of it has been our work in rebranding the Rice Larpenteur neighborhood and doing events to reactivate the space. But I would really encourage everyone who's listening to kind of throw out those old ideas of what the Rice Larpenteur neighborhood looks like and really see the vision and the collaboration and the excitement that we all have, because that's actually representative and reflective of the community.
Can I also add to that as well?
Why don't we start with Mayor Rowe and then go to Mayor Abrams?
I just wanted to, thank you. I just wanted to add that I think, part of that reputation that the neighborhood has is certainly because there have been things that have gone on in the fairly recent past as well. And we acknowledge that as part of this effort. And one of the things that I think we realize is that not only is this something where we talk about how can we have all of our law enforcement entities and social service entities coordinating with each other to improve that situation, but also a goal of this is to make this a positive neighborhood where people feel that they are part of a community. And it's that sort of feeling and engendering that spirit and that connectedness between the people across the streets and borders that can really help to improve that part of the reputation, because I think it's fairly well known that when people want to live out on the streets in their community, it's much less likely to be a community that is targeted for the type of activity that we've seen in the past. And so it's the neglect, I think, that Mayor Lee Abrams mentioned that led to some of those situations, and it's the attention that's hopefully going to turn that around.
Very well said. Mayor Abrams, did you want to add to that?
I think that Mayor Rowe and Commissioner Mattis-Castillo really covered that very well, but just one point in that, it is about perception. And I think that one of the important things that we're doing is we're changing the perception. We have new businesses that are coming into there. Kim, you mentioned the Nepali kitchen and grocery. And, that was an important addition there, replacing what used to be more of a trouble spot or a perceived trouble spot. And I think that what I see now in that neighborhood is this great sense of expectancy that something is happening here. The road is changing. Physically, it's looking different. The neighborhood, the garbage that you identified, that's getting picked up. And what we see is something changing. And I want to thank the commissioner for bringing that up, because those old thoughts just aren't true anymore. This is a different place, and it is it is heading towards being a very vibrant neighborhood where we all intersect. And so that's the really exciting part of that. And I think that people are starting to sense that as they drive through the neighborhood.
Thank you so much. I think everybody can see the heart you all have for this community and the people who live there. And it's remarkable and special. So thank you guys for that. So let's talk economic development, right? I am wondering what kind of development or redevelopment is the city or the county kind of hoping for? What looks like success physically in the physical world? And for that one, I'd like to start with Angela.
Well, I can talk about something that's in the planning phase now. We are looking to do a parking lot improvement for the My Thrift parking lot. So this would include landscaping around the edges and to close some of the curb cuts for that parking lot. And then additionally adding a sidewalk to that Rice and Larpenteur, that Rice side that we talked about. Resurfacing the parking lot and adding some additional lighting to really improve that area. And that's a private-public partnership that's going on. And we are looking to get that done soon. So that's something that's, we can look 5 years in the future, but that's something that we're excited about happening today.
Thank you. Mayor Rowe, what does the city of Roseville hope to see from an economic development perspective?
Well, I think it's something that we, saw through some of the research that was done as part of the early efforts to put together the vision, and that is businesses that really serve the community and serve the people there. So, certainly we've had a nice renaissance of restaurants in that area, and that's a great thing. And things that might be like daycare services or those types of businesses that provide services to the local community are, what we'd be looking for as part of that vision. Certainly, in terms of housing, we want to have a mix of housing, but we want to make sure from an equity perspective that we're not sort of leaving out affordability as a part of it. And I think it's encouraging that one of the first residential developments that's being at least kind of conceptually looked at on the Maplewood side on the Waterworks property definitely has that affordable component to it as a very significant part of what they're looking at. And I think that's what we want to see. And actually coming into this, I was wanted to make sure we mentioned that aspect of looking at the affordability, but I think it's a part of making a healthy neighborhood to have a good mix, because certainly on the Roseville side around Lake McCarran's, we've got some of probably our more valuable real estate in the community of Roseville on the lake, and it's almost directly adjacent to probably some of our least valuable real estate in terms of some of the older apartment buildings right off of Larpenteur. And so mixes are good, and it's all about how we make it successful for everybody. So I think that's really what we're looking for on the Roseville side, but I think throughout the area, is to make sure that we have a good mix of the successful businesses and the types of housing that can keep people living in that area and wanting to live in that area going forward.
Thank you. Did anyone else, Commissioner, would you like to add to that, or Mayor Abrams? Mayor,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead, Mayor.
thank you. I think that the neighborhood is a really wonderful area for entrepreneurs to start new businesses there, to really come in on the ground floor at a neighborhood that is growing and changing and developing. And so I'm excited about that. But I think to Mayor Rowe's point, this neighborhood has not had new housing in more than a decade. Maybe even longer than that. And so one of the most exciting things is that there's actually 2 pieces of property that the St. Paul Regional Water has now put on the market. And I've been told by city staff that we have a lot of developers who are very interested, and they're very large areas, multiple acres that are going to be developed. And so I think that from an equity perspective, we want to make sure that we have a mix of housing and that there is included in that affordable housing, because we all know how important that is and what a lack there is of affordable housing in the metro area. One of the components that has been proposed is that currently where the gardens are, that the gardens, at least a portion of the gardens, would remain for those residents who would live in a housing development in that area, and that they would be able to then grow at the gardens, and it would be there might even be a farmer's market there. That's been at least one of the proposals, but staff have been very encouraged at Maplewood as to the number of developers who want to come in, and they've got some really great vision on what those housing projects can look like. And I think bringing new people into the neighborhood and new businesses, it will continue to help that neighborhood really thrive. So stay tuned, because this is very close on the horizon. These properties are on the market right now, and there's a lot of interest in them.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. And I will say, when I had a conversation with a developer about the neighborhood, that person said to me that the fact that the community had all come together to agree on what kinds of uses are needed and what it should feel like and who it should be built for, he said that does so much of the legwork for the developer and for the investor. And so I think it's a perfect example of why this effort is so important. When there's not some natural boon in the economy or some big site that gets put on the market, how do you transform a neighborhood through economic development? Well, one way is to gather the community, gather the leaders, and set a vision, you know, plant that flag on that hill. And now we have something to work towards. So it worked, I guess. And we'll see once things get built. But at least the interest from the developers and that site being put on the market is a result of the effort of this group directly. So pretty cool. All right. Well, what have been some of the highlights so far of the Alliance? I mean, it's been, I guess, almost 2 years, 1 year since implementation started. What do you think the highlights have been? Commissioner Mattis Castillo.
Yeah, I have to admit, one of my biggest highlights is getting to work with this group, to be able to work with Mayor Abrams and Mayor Rowe and Angela and Council Member Brian Moen and yourself really has really set a stage for us to be able to collaborate, not just at Rice Larpenteur, but broadly in our communities. And so we've built a relationship from, you know, just working together and having a shared vision for our community, and then participating in really amazing events. You had a slide earlier with some of the pictures, and so being able to go out and actually do cleanup. Mayor Rowe and Angela and I were out picking up trash last year, and today's Earth Day, and so people are going to be out again, and I've noticed people have already been out picking up the litter and trash and cleaning up the neighborhood. And so to see that kind of excitement and engagement and people kind of putting their heart and taking ownership on the neighborhood has been really exciting. And then from a county perspective, it's been exciting to see how we can have made some infrastructure improvements that, though are happened pretty quickly and relatively easily, have made a significant improvement in the neighborhood by slowing down Larpenteur Avenue with the 4-3, putting in protected pedestrian crossways, really has made a significant improvement, so that, as Mayor Rowe said, when people can get outside and walk and be in their neighborhood, it becomes safer just by the nature of the activation. And improving the roadways to make it safer is a significant way that we can do that. So those things, I'm excited about everything at Rice Larpenteur. I'm especially excited about our friendship and our partnership moving forward and the work that we've done together.
Thank you. Mayor Rowe, or Mayor, let's let everybody answer that question. What have been your highlights, Mayor Rowe?
Well, I think it's important to mention, we touched on it, but we didn't really spend a lot of time on it. But this has been very much about engaging with the people in the community, both the businesses and the residents. And that has been one of the highlights for me, is that this isn't really something that was dictated by us, you know, a handful of people sitting sort of in our quote unquote Rice and Larpenteur ivory tower, but rather we went out and we asked people, what are the things we need to change in this neighborhood? What are the things you're looking for? One of the big reasons for the changes on Larpenteur is because of the Community School of Excellence and the advocates at that school for improvements for their kids, because they were telling us that they have to bus students literally a half a block across Larpenteur because it's too dangerous for them to walk across Larpenteur to get to school. And that resonates with us. And those types of inputs that we've gotten from people all along, from businesses in the area who've said, you know, we're longtime businesses, we want to be part of this area going forward. We are so pleased to be engaged in the process. You know, that's a tremendous highlight for me, is that this isn't something that's sort of a theoretical exercise by planners and city leaders, but rather it is really about the voice and the vision of the community. And so that's a huge highlight for me.
Thank you. Mayor Abrams?
I think the highlights for me have been the events that get people out. And really, this isn't about the decision makers. This isn't about the 3 cities and the 1 county. This is about the neighborhood. And this is about providing opportunity for them to meet each other, to really see fun things happening in their community, and recognize that, wait, we have ownership over this, and this is really a great place to live. And I think by providing that opportunity, it opens up neighbors to meet each other and to work together and to get out and utilize these new infrastructure changes and the amenities that are there. And so we're really helping this neighborhood that was, to be honest, rather tired and neglected, that we're helping this neighborhood to come alive. And that's what is so exciting to see it. And I think I mentioned before about the expectancy. Even when you drive through there today, it feels different. And I think that there's a positivity there, and people know that something is changing. And it's not just our weather. It's not just that spring is coming. It's that something is real. It's something that is real is happening here, and it is a positive change. And I think the fact that government can make that happen, we can be the jump starters for that, but it really is the community then that has ownership for it. And Kim, I think that the St. Paul Area Chamber has done a fabulous job by staffing this. That was one of the smartest decisions that I think the group made, was to put this together and recognize we have a vision for this, but we need boots on the ground. We need help staffing it. And that really has come from the chamber. You folks have done, Kim, you've done just a fabulous job on this, of bringing, what our vision was as policymakers to really fruition, and to see that people know something's going on, and people are questioning, so what's going on with Rice Larpenteur? It feels different. And the fact that we are all working together on this is really, it's been such a highlight that we can help this community be really the best that it can be, and to be a real neighborhood.
Thank you so much. Angela, do you want to add anything? What have you seen as the highlights of the effort so far from the
Sure, I'll just add a quick personal highlight, and that was from the end of the block party. A resident of the neighborhood who just came up to me and said, "Thank you so much for having a block party. It was so nice to have a place to come and relax with my neighbors and to have fun for a little while, and just take everything that's going in the world and just like let it go and have fun in my neighborhood." So that was really affirming that we're on the right track, and that we're demonstrating that this is a place to come and have fun. And I'm excited to have more events like this in the future.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we are constantly hearing those stories of gratitude and of excitement from the community members and the businesses. Someone recently mentioned to me, "Oh, we moved our business in here 2 years ago, and we didn't know how it was going to go. But then the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance came around, and there are events, and there are projects, and there are opportunities to get involved, and I've met, my neighbor." And this particular person was a restaurant owner, and they said, that actually since COVID-19 has struck, their business has remained strong from carry out and delivery. And that's because of the relationships that are being built within the community and people supporting one another. So anyway, we're hearing stories like that all the time, and it's pretty special. I'm wondering from everyone in the group, and then I would love to check in with Shannon and Evie to see if they're seeing some questions come up from the audience. But last question from me, what will success look like for each jurisdiction? Like, what's the dream? Let's start with let's see, who should start? Let's start with Mayor Abrams from Maplewood. What does success look like?
Thanks, Kim. Success for me and for Maplewood looks like we have a very culturally diverse neighborhood that feels valued, that feels that not only the city, but the county cares for them, that they are a part of a thriving community, that businesses are coming in and succeeding, that we have a mix of housing that's available, that they feel connected and that they're rooted in their neighborhood, that they want to get involved, that they want to join the alliance to further this, that this neighborhood cares about itself and everyone that lives there cares about each other, that they recognize that this is a unique area and that this whole area succeeds, that it looks like it is a vibrant, thriving neighborhood. That's what success looks like.
Thank you. Mayor Rowe, what does success look like from Roseville's perspective?
I think not just from Roseville's perspective, but you know, for all of us, I think success looks like, as Mayor Abrams said, that everybody's engaged and continues to be engaged. I would rather this not be an effort that, you know, that I have to continue to be involved in the same level, because it's really being taken forward by the people, the residents and businesses of the area who want to continue to participate and who are seeing the benefits and seeing that their efforts can pay off and that this is able to be sustained. And so that's really what I think would be a good sign of success, is that I can know this is going on, but don't have to be engaged in the same way.
That's right.
Because we just know that the folks in the area are taking it forward, and that's definitely what we want to have happen.
Agreed. Commissioner, what does
Yeah.
success look like?
You know, I totally agree with the two mayors on their answers. It really is success. We have this beautiful vision plan. And so to me, success looks like something similar to the vision plan, but I couldn't agree more. It's that we are stepping back and not taking such an active role, but that the community is driving what it looks like and continuing to drive, and developers and partners in business are driving what the community looks like. So a vibrant community where people are out walking around and enjoying time outside at Rice Larpenteur, that people can really take in the beauty, and that it becomes a destination and not just a pass-through area, but a destination spot to come and have lunch and dinner and to sit and take in the lake or go to the beach and spend some time at Rice Larpenteur.
Thank you. Angela, can you add?
No, not really. I think everyone else did a great job summarizing or summing that up. And I will say that that it's obvious that it's, you know, in the future, that's a great place for people that currently live there, but it's also a great place to come, and that the story tells itself. And right now we're all working together to tell our story, but it will be great when that, you know, all of our work is kind of self-evident.
Thank you so much. So pardon my finger here. I am going to see if I can view the audience Q&A from my phone. Oh, let's see. Okay. All right. I am being told to check on my email. Okay, sorry about this delay. I do want to get to some of the questions from the audience. I think that's really important. So let's see.
So Kim, while you're looking at that, I just want to see, I see a note here from Commissioner McGuire, who's watching and is a partner in this effort at Rice Larpenteur. And so she's really excited about the amount of engagement with the neighborhood and the surrounding neighbors. Really, again, this vision plan wasn't created by us, but created by the neighborhood and the people involved. You mentioned earlier that we are creating, you know, this expanding the advisory council, and we are encouraging the neighbors to be that council and to really take ownership. And that continues to guide our work. It really is coming from the people who live and work or own businesses and properties in the neighborhood. So thanks for that reminder, Commissioner McGuire, and I'm glad you're watching.
Yes, hi, Commissioner. Thank you so much. So let's see. We have kind of a comment here that I think we should respond to that says the crime rate continues to grow. in the area, and it feels like it's migrating north of Rice Street, is the sentiment. So the question is, what is being done to keep crime from moving the question is posed for moving further into the suburbs. Maybe Mayor Rowe, do you have any response to that?
I think I can go back to some of the comments I made earlier, and actually I had seen that question, and that's why I made the comments I made a little earlier, but it's about making the area less of sort of an opportunity area for criminal activity, making it more of an area that people want to do sort of the good behaviors rather than the less desirable behaviors. I don't think there's any question that when we look at criminal activity, and we've been looking at, certainly in Roseville, we've seen some changes over time in the whole community, and it's not just necessarily in this Rice and Larpenteur area. There are things that we need to be doing and perhaps doing differently. And I know as a city government, we are looking at steps. We've increased our number of officers. We've changed some of our focus of our enforcement efforts and really worked harder to work on the prevention of crime, and we'll continue to do that. And I think a big part, as I mentioned before, is reaching across those borders as well to the other jurisdictions and having good communication back and forth between St. Paul Police, Roseville Police, Maplewood Police, and the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department, and for that matter, the Ramsey County Attorney's Office, to do what we can proactively for all of our communities and to the benefit of everybody, because it is something that is clearly something we need to be focusing on.
Thank you. I wanna leave that question open to the rest of the panel. Any thoughts about crime or safety for this neighborhood? I guess one thing I'll just point out is that Roseville Chief of Police, Chief Mathwig, has been very involved coming to almost all meetings, and same with the Maplewood Police Department and the City of St. Paul Police Department. So I will just note that these public safety agencies are working together and are working very hard and will continue to address issues of both actual crime and perception of safety, which is as important for the future of the community. Did anyone else want to answer the question?
I think that the question for me is, we don't, the person asking the question is not talking about any specific statistics, but I think that to some extent that there is that distinction between actual crime and the perception of crime. And I think Mayor Rowe made a very good point about good behavior, basically squeezes out bad behavior. And the more that we can foster positive development, positive growth, new businesses, the rehab, thank you, St. Paul, for the parking lot changes there at the thrift store. The more positive things that we can bring in, that is actually a deterrent to crime. And so we do, Commissioner, you started this by talking about the perception of crime. And I think that is something that we're going to have to continue to work on. And the more positives that we can really rack up in that neighborhood, I think that we will see that perception change over time. And I think that after this summer, when people see all of the physical changes that are happening there and some of the activities, hopefully once we can all get back outside together, the more positives, that's just simply going to drive out a lot of that negativity, because it's just, it's just not going, it will make the change, I think, that we're looking for. But I see it happening already, and I'm encouraged by it.
Thank you. Yes. Just wanted to read a comment, which I think is a fantastic one. Carolyn mentions that an important part of meeting community needs is to have accurate census counts. So she and all of us must be encouraging members of our communities to get everybody counted. So complete the census, go to my2020census.gov. And if you need some assistance, there is assistance available if you look into your city website. But thank you, Carolyn, for that important comment. So I guess we are nearing the end of our panel conversation. I want to thank everybody on the panel. It has been an honor to be a part of this exciting work and to get to know this community so well. I will let the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce wrap us up today.
We'd like to thank our representative and moderator, Mayor Rowe, Mayor Abrams, Angela Rife, Commissioner Matt Castillo, and Kim O'Brien for this very informative discussion. We would also like to thank our event sponsors, Roseville Visitors Association and Highway Federal Credit Union, for their support of the series, and our partners, the cities of Roseville, Maplewood, and Little Canada, and the Twin Cities North Chamber of Commerce. The next meetings of the Roseville and Maplewood Area Business Councils will be back on separate dates, although their topics are very similar. They are both session wrap-ups and with their legislative delegations. Roseville will be meeting on May 27th and Maplewood on June 11th. Registration for those events are now open, and more information on how we're going to meet will be shared closer to the event dates. So thank you for attending today and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.